Yeah, you are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. And we are streaming on Rumble. And we are streaming on X. And we are streaming on YouTube. And we are streaming at the mothership that is WYAB.com. So if you can't pick up the 100 or 150,000 watts, yeah, right, 50,000 watt blowtorch that is WYAB, hit us up on the stream. We appreciate that. Follow me on X. It's going to be a spicy one today, especially in Jacktown, especially with Bad Rabbit. Follow me on X at Andrew Gosser, ANDREWGASSER. If you want to be part of the show today, you're going to be more than welcome to join. Dissenters are always to the front of the line, 601 879 0002. Text line is open, 601 879 5060. And the mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show is standard. We are here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? Y'all are the saints. And before I get into the opening monologue and everything, I just want to say thank you to Chris Hinkle for following or for filling in yesterday at BF Conservative on X, BF Conservative, Blunt Force Conservative on X. Really appreciate you filling in for me so I could hit up what I needed to get done yesterday. It wasn't all bad, wasn't all good, but life is good, and definitely happy to be here. So, I always try to give a little bit of inspiration, positive reinforcement at the beginning of the show. But this time I'm going to do it a little different. And hear me out on this before you say, oh, Andy's just going down a spiritual road. I want you to think about this and really think, because where this is leading is not what you think. But we got to get it all out there in the right way. In the last days will come times of difficulty. We'll be lovers of self. Yep. Lovers of money. Yep. Are we proud? Are we arrogant? Abusive? Disobedient to our moms and dads? Ungrateful? Unholy? Heartless? Unappeasable? Are we slanderous? Do we have self-control? Are we brutal? Not loving good? Treacherous? Reckless? Swollen with conceit? Lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God? Having the appearance of godliness, but denying its power? Avoid such people. Now, you all thought I was quoting the Bible. I was just talking about the Bad Rabbit in the Super Bowl halftime show. What are you thinking, people? And we will talk about Bad Rabbit in depth, because I've had some time to, as I was sitting there thinking yesterday, I had some time to ruminate over Bad Rabbit. And we're going to talk about that. And I'm going to actually attempt to recite some of his lyrics in English. And we're definitely going to go there. But we've got to start off in Jackson. And this is coming from the man, the myth, the legend himself, Kingfish, Jackson Jambalaya. He simply has a story there called No Comment. While the Jackson City Council debated fining people or entities who drop off homeless people in Jackson, it's totally okay for white liberal crackers in Nantucket, in New England, Connecticut, to go ahead and bus illegal aliens or fly illegal aliens out of their gated communities. If you're an illegal alien, hey, you're welcome here. You're a homeless American, get the hell out of here. What is you can't make this up. You literally cannot make this up. What I just read, heartless, unappeasable, slanderous, absolutely terrible. We in Jackson have got all of our priorities upside down and bass backwards. Yep. This is coming from Anthony Warren and Candace Bruce over at the WLBT. Dropping off a homeless person in the capital city would net you $1,000 fine or get a year in jail. And as long as you don't have enough weed to get a distribution charge, you're good to go. On Tuesday, the Jackson City Council approved an ordinance making it a misdemeanor to transport unhoused individuals in the city of Jackson, but they'll hire a DEI police chief who's got a very suspicious past. The measure was approved on a unanimous vote and will go into effect immediately. Man, it just sounds to me like someone needs to file a lawsuit against that. That is absolutely insane. You know, WYAB's always been critical of the former mayor of Jackson, but I think we've been pretty much giving Mayor Horn a good pass, letting him find out where the potty is in the Capitol, having him get around his way, getting his team in place. Council members also approved a second ordinance placing a 180-day moratorium on applications or permits for new and expanded projects serving the homeless in Ward 5. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. Think about that. Now, if you persecution, we go help the homeless all the time. We sit there and reach out, and now you're not gonna be able you have any new permits to go ahead and help the homeless? Make I'm telling you what, we need insane asylums back. We really do. Because these laws that are being passed, these ordinances, absolutely diabolical, diabolical. Measure passed on a 601, so one person just was voted present. He didn't do the walk or she didn't do the walk, she just, "I'm here." But 6 of them voted for it. This is what happens when we put in laws into place, not just in Jackson, not just in Mississippi, but in America that aren't righteous, that aren't fair. And you can sit there and talk about what fair means, and that's a whole nother debate in and of itself. But Jackson is really got big problems. And I've driven through Jackson. I've gone to some pretty crazy places, and it's amazing how the AI algorithm hears what you're saying, and that's a whole 'nother story too about the cameras picking up the video on those cameras out in Arizona. Your phone is always listening to you, and out of the blue, this popped up in my YouTube feed. It's by a creator called Valley Club, VALLEY CLUB. I've retweeted the video. Mississippi Hood Tour, Jackson, Mississippi, the most dangerous city in the poorest state in America. And they go along with this guy from South Jackson. Shout out to 601 Stunna. He's on X at 601 Stunna, STUNNA. Definitely worth a listen. It's a 28-minute video documentary talking about all the different craziness that's going on in Jackson and how it's just been abandoned. And people are really starting to take notice of the problems in Jackson, but at the same time, we're taking notice of the problems in Jackson. The people who are actually trying to do something about it are being obfuscated, roadblocks thrown in the way, can't necessarily get anything done that needs to get done. It's absolutely heartbreaking. There are hundreds of millions of dollars just rotting away in buildings and property in South Jackson. And 601 Stun, I said it right in the video. Hey, if you wanna get outside South Jackson, just go to Byram or go to Clinton. A lot of people ended up like staying in South Jackson, which was very interesting to me. The culture is amazing. And I, for one, am not one of these people who sit there and say everybody who lives in Jackson is bad. That's not it at all. But this video, I mean, honestly, every politician should watch it. I would play some of it, but you'd have to bleep it a lot of it out. There's a lot of cursing, obviously, and it just makes me wonder what's really gonna happen to Jackson. They're talking about the potholes and the roads. They were talking about the businesses. There's a restaurant down there somewhere called Sam's. I wanna hit it up, but they said, "Don't go there at night." They had the Shell station, of course, where the shootouts were. It's a really great documentary. I watched it at 1.5 speed just because I'm trying to always, again, I am what I consume. So as I'm trying to learn about Jackson, Mississippi, I try to go to at a little bit faster data rate than normal. And Jackson, Mississippi, we think that nobody's watching what's happening here in Mississippi and in Jackson. We're global. Jackson, Mississippi is worldwide. It's everywhere. People are taking notice, of the good things that are happening in Mississippi because we are the greatest state. I firmly believe that, but man, oh man, watching that video, some walking through the apartments. These apartments just been abandoned. Whoever owned the property just abandoned it. Windows bashed in, doors bashed in, trash and litter everywhere. I get when some people say, "Why go clean up Jackson? As soon as you clean up one spot, it's just gonna get dirtied up again." I kinda see that, but does that mean we don't do it at all? Does that mean we just throw it away? Just call it a loss? I was really grateful for the video. I feel I've reached out to him, tagged him on X. It'd be great to have 601 Stunner in the studio. You know, he's lived a life that I think a lot of people not only don't know and don't understand, but they don't know and they don't want to understand, but they know they should know. I think that would help branch this divide that's growing, and it's only getting bigger and quicker as the AI overreach continues to grow, the AI revolution, the hostile takeover of humanity. Oh, it's coming. Terminators, everything that was said in that movie, like, we laughed at it when it came out, and now we can see, yeah, nothing gets by the AI, thanks to our cell phone, thanks to our internet, even the stuff in Jackson that you think wouldn't be there. You know, these light poles, they might be old as sin, but all they have to do is put a camera on there, and now they've got complete surveillance on it. And between the DEI police chief going into Jackson, in between this new ordinance going by, basically outlawing helping the homeless can't be dropped off. There's nothing saying that homeless can't be dropped off in other places. And if there's any good that came out of this, there is one quote. Uh, Vernon Hartley, Vice President Vernon Hartley said he intended, so it hasn't happened yet, but he intended to put forth another ordinance addressing squatting that should be coming forth to the next meeting. Our goal is to help get help to the people who need the help and to make sure we hold individuals accountable for illegal, immoral drop-offs of unhoused individuals in our community. What's immoral? Is homeless being immoral? Is the homeless vet immoral? I'm just giving you a little bit of myself here, people. I thank goodness for the decisions I've made earlier in my life, whether it be healthcare, savings, serving, making important life choices at critical moments in time. I could have ended up being one of those homeless vets. Very possible. And if I didn't have the self-discipline, if I didn't have the discipline put onto me by my company commanders in the Navy and my flight commander in the Air Force as I was going through that impressionable stage, I might have made something really bad, a bad decision. Ward 1 Councilman Ashby Foote called on those who bring homeless or otherwise compromised to the city irresponsible, despicable, and offered an amendment to increase the fine from $1,000 to $100,000. You can bring crack cocaine, you can bring heroin, you can bring fentanyl into the city, and you don't get fines like that. The war on homeless people, And these are legal Americans. They have Bill Amendment, Bill of Amendments. They have the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, the Bill of Rights. Sometimes Parkinson's gets rolling there a little bit, get excited. They have those protections under the Constitution. They have the 14th Amendment. Illegal aliens don't. They shouldn't be here in the first place. And now we're gonna make the illegal alien over the homeless. Where did I read that before? Where did I read that before? Can anybody tell me? You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Yep, you are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We are moving and grooving. The phone line is 601-879-0002. The text line is open at 601-879-5060. And, I always try to put Mississippi politics first, Jackson first. But I want to kind of swing and drive the show in a little bit of a different way than perhaps other radio shows, not just here on WYB, but around the nation would swerve. Keeping it in Mississippi, social media addicting the brains of children, plaintiff lawyer argues the landmark trial. And this is coming via the Magnolia Tribune, via the Associated Propaganda. And you're going to understand why I'm going to put this down here in just a minute. Social media, we can all agree, it programs the human brain. You put a Gen Xer up against a Gen Z kid today, and the Gen Xer with Parkinson's runs circles around him logically, even if they can't walk normally. I see it every day. The way that we have access to such technology, to such information, we talked about it, the difference between sitting there and reading on a device compared to sitting there and reading a book is completely different. The way we consume, the way our eyes look at things, the way our brain, the neurons are all linked together. They form strings together that just makes the way we consume information and retain information completely different. Coming from Los Angeles, comparing social media platforms to casinos and addictive drugs, lawyer Mark Lehner delivered opening statements Monday in a landmark trial. It's true. Parents, everybody who's sitting here listening, and in the 11 o'clock hour, like I said, we're going to lead off with Bad Rabbit and attempt to read those lyrics. You don't want your kids to be able to listen to that segment. I'm going to try to keep it PG-13. I might just have to quit. But parents, you pull away your cell phone, your kid's cell phone. If I took my daughter's cell phone right now, holy smokes, she would give up her car before she would give up her cell phone. She would do anything to keep her cell phone over anything else. It just is what it is. Kids can't be without their phones for more than if the school does actually take it away. There are policies in some schools where they put the cell phones away, but kids are addicted to it. And guess what? So are we. During the break, you see me. What's the latest going on? Is there a news story that I need to cover? So now they're trying to go after Google and Meta for programming our kids' brains in a way that isn't necessarily good. And as we've talked to in the past, Meta has come out and said they have put parental controls in place. Parental controls. I'm trying to think back in my life, when was it that I actually switched over to the interwebs? Was it the late 90s? Was it the early 2000s? I think it was when I got high-speed internet. I never really liked dial-up. Instagram parent company Meta and Google's YouTube face claims that their platforms addict children through deliberate design choices that keep kids glued to their screens. Well, think about this. Didn't television do that back in the day? Soap operas, The Days of Our Lives, General Hospital. People were addicted to that. All sorts of comedy shows at night, they're addicted to that. Everything in moderation, nothing in moderation. Jurors got their first glimpse of what will be a lengthy trial characterized by dueling narratives from plaintiffs and the two remaining defendants. Meta and Google aren't giving up. I guess TikTok and Snap already settled the lawsuit for undisclosed sums of money. Great. TikTok and Snapchat. And by the way, parents, if your daughter has Snap, you should really examine your parental choices. I'm just going to say it like that. They've already settled. Does that mean that they've fixed their addictive behavior? The swipe up, scroll up? Ask President Trump how that worked out for him. Sitting there recording a video, and the next one that pops up, whoa, hey. A lot of creators get rolled up like that. And some people ask me, why don't I actually live scroll on stuff? Even though this computer right here doesn't have anything on it, you do not know what's gonna be fed into your live stream anymore. They used to target you, so I'm an Arsenal fan, right? I wanna know about Arsenal. I also have a tacit affiliation to Tottenham because I want them to go and just be relegated and go away. So I could assume that in my feed, I would get lots of Arsenal stuff and lots of Tottenham stuff, and I'd be okay with that because 'cause I'd troll the Tottenham fans and I'd sit there and up the Gunners. But now they have suggested targeting, and they just get a little bit off the straightened path, and the next thing you know, you have AI agents getting bombarded into your feed. You've got all sorts of things that you would never necessarily be interested in, but they suggest it to you because you might be interested in it. They suggest Bad Rabbit because you might be suggested into it. And listen, all you holy roller Gen Xers, church people, you know who I'm talking to. Do not sit there and act all surprised by this because we grew up with Too Short, Public Enemy, Ice-T, NWA, and various others. Chicka Chicka Slim Shady. And now all of a sudden you are all shocked and surprised. You're all shocked and surprised that this generation is just going down a rabbit hole, no pun intended, that are godless, faithless, moralless, rude, obnoxious, arrogant, boastful. You're surprised? Heck, go try correcting one of these young kids. All of a sudden be like, "Oh, I'm just not gonna deal with them anymore. It's beyond my pay grade." We've made conscious decisions as boomers and as Gen Xers because we were given certain liberties and freedoms that we know we wouldn't take advantage of, but the next follow-on generations would. And now they're sitting there looking at us like, "What the hell did you do to us? What did we do to our children? What did we give our children? Did we pass them a better country than what was given to us?" If you just look on the debt alone, you'll probably say no. So, our social media is being sued. And by the way, for the record, the number one information and news source for people 27 and under is TikTok. And when I sit there and I do show prep for TikTok and I do scroll it, I set a timer on my phone for 5 minutes because after 5 minutes, you can be sucked in there for whole hours, and the next thing you know, you're supposed to go on to your next activity, and you can't. I'll read this last line, then we're gonna go to the break. Addicting the brains of children. Lanier, the plaintiff's lawyer, delivered lively first remarks where he said the case will be as easy as ABC, which stands for addicting the brains of children. He said Meta and Google, two of the richest corporations in history, have engineered addiction in the children's brains. We have, but don't make no mistake, it's just not children. That's just the pull line that liberals use. It's for the children. It's for the child, as El Rushbo used to say. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. And we are back here at the Andrew Gosser Show, moving and grooving on this Wednesday, the 11th of February, 2026. In kind of throwing a curveball into here, you know, we can pass an ordinance to outlaw homelessness in Jackson, but at the same time, we'll welcome the illegal alien. We'll sit there and pass an alcohol law to bring Mississippi into the 21st century, but we can't outlaw Sharia law while all around the world stabbings are happening, murders are happening with people screaming Allahu Akbar, Inshallah, Alhamdulillah. It's like our priorities are all screwed up. Heck, we don't even get mad over Bad Rabbit, really. But something that did catch my eye was the TFR that came out. And I've got it pulled up here. I haven't had to use my FAA aviation skills in a while. But a NOTAM came out for El Paso, Texas. Or I'm sorry, El Paso, Texas, I believe it was. Maybe it's New Mexico. It's Texas. And they basically grounded all aviation in this bubble for 10 days. Now, I know it's been rescinded, but the reason behind it is absolutely frightening. As an aviator, as someone who used to fly, I wouldn't even wanna be like, sometimes you can go take a free airplane ride, you pay like $100, you get up in the left seat, you've got a certified flight instructor next to you, and you just fly around and have fun. I wouldn't even wanna do that anymore. I'd miss being the actual pilot in command too much to enjoy it. It just wouldn't make fun of me, but that doesn't mean that I just still don't remember all my ground schooling, all my aviation training, and I can still honor that. So I pulled it up, and it was a 10 nautical mile bubble, and the latest and greatest rumor coming off of X, and I'm using, who am I using here? I'm using Portland Patriots. They were the first ones that I saw post it. It was no flights in or out, and it was a National Defense Airspace TFR. The FAA gave 0 explanation and 0 warning, and it wasn't a drill. I can tell you, just as someone who dealt with that is downright frightening. There's all sorts of audio. In fact, let's play audio. This is real audio.
Southwest 1249, are you guys supposed to fly out?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Southwest 1249, are you guys departing again tonight, or is this final flight in?
Nah, we're going to the hotel.
Roger. Just be advised, I guess there's a TFR going into effect. Just pass it on to the Southwest and everybody else. At 0630 for the next 10 days, we're stopped, all ground stopped.
So right there, you've got the air traffic controller telling the pilot that if you stay here, we're about to put in this TFR that's going to go ahead and basically full stop. Everybody who's on the ground is staying on the ground. Everybody who's in the air, you can get out of here. And this applied to even military flights. And that really got my attention. We're not going to allow military flights to go. Let's just finish this off here because this pilot gets really snarky, and I appreciate a good snarky pilot.
Okay, ground stop to 0630 for how long?
10 days.
So the airport's totally closed?
Apparently, we just got informed about 30 minutes to an hour ago.
So for 10 days, you guys are not open?
Well, I mean, we'll be here, but no air traffic.
Okay, thanks for that heads up.
You hear that, pilot? He's like, get the heck out of here. Well, apparently the cartel sent a bunch of drones swarming north with GPS jamming, is what I read. Allegedly. And if you think about GPS jamming and how all of our airplanes, we depend on GPS. Now, there are still every pilot is trained on steam, magnetic headings and magnetic or steam gauges in the cockpit. But there are planes out there that's going away. Everything's on a chip. It's jammed. Or I'm sorry, it's electronic. It's not jammed. You go out there and you start jamming GPS signals, planes aren't gonna know where they're going. Autopilot's gonna kick off. All sorts of craziness. It just opens up a door to complete craziness. And you've got a pilot who's in his 50s and 60s, my age, but doesn't have the same problems I do, you know, he's gonna be alright. But you got some of these younger pilots who are smart, they're bright. I'm not ditching anything from them, but they teach in pilot training and in flight school, the most dangerous time to be a pilot is from about 500 hours to about 1,250 hours, because that's your Superman invincible mode, where you think you've got it, but you really don't. But you think you do, so you're alright. You're a legend in your own mind. And you just think about it. What is this just a dry run? The could these drones that they used in El Paso, could they use them in other places? Could you imagine if they did a drone swarm in, like, Chicago O'Hare, Dallas Fort Worth, Atlanta Hartsfield, LAX, LaGuardia, Kennedy, Reagan? And I have to say that when I saw that TFR for 10 days, I was like, "Man, that's tough." I'm trying to think back to 9/11. I think we were down flying for 5 days, only military aircraft. That was some crazy stuff, my 9/11 stories. Just everybody knows where they were, they all know what it was just one of those moments. So I'm wondering what got the cartel to go ahead and do this? Has anybody looked at the latest boat strike video on X? Let me see if I can pull it up here. And I'm not gonna sit there and give the play-by-play of it, but if you haven't seen it, you should. Because I'm just saying, as someone who has seen a lot of bombs lazed in and blown up, I think the correct word for this is unique. It's a little bit different. I reached out to people who I trust intimately when it comes to situations and stories and views like this, who have seen a lot of different types of things. And we're all just kinda going, "Huh." It's almost like, why are we even showing this off? But if you haven't seen it yet, you should. It's been on Fox, it's been on CNN, it's been on MSNL/BS Always. It's pretty much been everywhere, and with that, the drug war, this cartel war, it's scaling up. You might not necessarily feel it yet, personally, but I assure you on these border towns and where the cartel is really taking a hit, the citizenry is feeling it. Now, I don't know, I'm pulling up the TFR here, I've got it right here. It began at 6:30 UTC on February 11th, and it was supposed to originally end on the 21st of February at 6:30 UTC. It was typed for security, there were no NOTAMs additionally placed there. It gave the location of it. And here's the restrictions and requirements. No pilots may operate an aircraft in the areas covered by the NOTAM except as described, excluding Mexican airspace. The System Operations Support Center, it gives the telephone number there, and this is all out of Albuquerque Center. Oh, man, I spent so much time talking to those guys over there. Albuquerque Center, that's like the major pass-through as you're flying from east to west or west to east, and they're just pushing and moving traffic. They're pushing it west, they're pushing it east, and they're trying to keep it all together, and when they get at something like this, I mean, you've gotta plot that on your radar scope, you've gotta figure out exactly where everything's at, and then you as the controller on the ground, well, I wasn't the controller on the ground, I was in the air, but the controller on the ground's gotta enforce that, and as a controller in the air, if those planes were under my control, and they violated that, well, that pilot was going to get a talking to, but it was going to be my behind too. It was equal opportunity offender right there. These are just little things that I sit here and I notice. And for the life of me, I've never seen the FAA put out a statement like this. Now, I don't know if it was something that was fat-fingered. You would think that, okay, we've got this situation with GPS jamming. We don't wanna let the public know about it. So we're just gonna put it in effect for 5 hours, 6 hours, and we'll keep on extending it as we need it. But I think to have a 10-day lockdown, and then what was the best comment that I read on all of this as I was doing my show prep this morning was this lady called her husband to tell her that the FAA shut down, uh, the, what was it? El Paso El Paso for 10 days, and the husband immediately replied to her, "Get off X." Well, X was right, which is why you should have an X account. Not saying that everything you see is gonna be 100% correct. Always take everything with a healthy grain of salt. But that's where this information goes to get disseminated. And apparently the White House has since spoke about it, and things are apparently back to normal. But I'll tell you what, scary times are upon us, ladies and gentlemen, scary times. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Be right back.
.1039 WYAB.
This Valentine's Day, be the hero without the hassle. At Green Oak, we're the Valentine's Day experts. We know exactly what she wants, and we make it easy for you to get it right. Choose from stunning hand-designed floral arrangements and gifts online at greenoakms.com or visit us in-store in Jackson next to Palm Bridges Park or in Ridgeland at the Township. Green Oak does all the work. You get all the credit. Order now at greenoakms.com and make this Valentine's Day unforgettable. Green Oak, Jackson's floral expert since 1960.
Hi, this is Lee Atkins of Home Care Plus in Ridgeland. We are a proud carrier of Abena Premium Incontinence products. Abena has the most absorbency available, making changes and leaks less likely. After 7 years as a seller, I can tell you these products are amazing and worth every penny to quality of life for patient and caregiver. And we ship all incontinence products as well. So please come see us at Home Care Plus in Ridgeland for all the incontinence needs of you or your family member. That's Home Care Plus in Ridgeland.
Pack up the kiddos, hop in the car. It's a sweet little getaway, it's not too far.
For candy, chocolate, sweets, and treats. Smiles from the door to the back row seats.
Hey! Mississippi Candy Company, bringing kids and the memories.
Grandma, Grandpa, come and see. It's an excellent trip for the whole family.
Down D's Drive-In Gluckstadt, Mississippi Candy Company, that's where it's at.
Hey kids, ask your parents and grandparents to go right now.
Grizz Nation, your Memphis Grizzlies are back at FedEx Forum after the All-Star break on Friday, February 20th to host the Utah Jazz. Get here and get loud for the home team on Gospel Night. Grab your tickets today at grizzlies.com/tickets or at the FedEx Forum box office in Memphis.
Get ready, Louisiana! Johnny's Pizza House is turning up the heat with our sweet the swamp pizza. Packed with crawfish, shrimp, a taste of crab, andouille sausage, bell peppers, onions, jalapenos, and a blend of Cajun spices, all smothered in delicious mozzarella cheese. It's the perfect bite of the bayou and the perfect meal for any Cajun crave. Try our Cajun flip or dive into a sweet the swamp pizza bowl. A taste of Louisiana flavor is waiting on you. Let's share a slice today at Johnny's Pizza House.
Seeing well plays a big role in helping you read well. That's why it's not a minute too soon for students of all ages to schedule an eye exam with Dr. Bobby C. Pankey and Associates in Clinton and Richland. They can also help you with a great selection of frames, lenses, and contacts, all at affordable prices. See well, read well, do well. For all your back-to-school eye care needs, visit Optical 2000 Clinton and Richland, optical-2000.com.
Stay in touch. Follow Optical 2000 on Facebook.
Since 2012, Brentech Solutions has been keeping Central Mississippi businesses connected and protected. From secure data backup and cloud services with Synology to reliable network design and maintenance, servers, and business Wi-Fi, Brentech truly does it all. Brentech is your Ring Pro partner and smart home automation solutions provider. Brentech can handle Microsoft 365 support and even Starlink. Visit brentech.ms. That's brentech.ms. IT solutions that work.
Pure Air Consultants offers services on your heating and cooling system. It's time to get your heating system serviced. We offer replacement, service, maintenance agreements. It's important because if you have a gas heating system, it can produce carbon monoxide. So you want to make sure you have your system serviced and cleaned to protect your family. You want to make sure your system is safe to run. You can find us on our website at mypureairconsultants.com, mypureairconsultants.com.
Yeah, we're just getting started here at the Andrew Gosser Show. The first hour goes by so quickly. Show prep was good. Life is good.
Yeah, we're just
here
getting
behind the
started
microphone
here
at
at the Andrew Gosser Show.
WYAB.
The first hour goes by
Our
so quickly.
50,000 watt blowtorch
Show prep was
in
good.
Mississippi.
Life is good. Here behind
Spreading
the
the truth.
microphone at
Talking about the
WYAB.
things that perhaps some people
50,000
don't want to talk about, but that's all right.
In Mississippi.
Brother Rick is always questioning
Spreading
me
the truth.
and keeping
Talking
me
about
honest,
the
which I
things that
appreciate.
perhaps some people don't want to talk about, but that's all right.
You know, AI
Brother
is
Rick
growing
is
so
always
fast.
questioning me.
I do want to
and
talk about
keeping
it
me
after we
honest,
talk
which I
about Bad
appreciate.
Rabbit in the next hour. And by the way,
you know,
I'm just
AI
putting
is
her out there right
growing
now.
so
Parental
fast.
warning.
I do
The
want to
first
talk about
segment,
it
maybe
after we
the
talk
first
about
two
Bad
segments
Rabbit in the
are
next
going to
hour.
be
And
rough.
by the way, I'm just putting her out
because
there right
we've
now.
got to talk
Parental
about
warning.
Bad
The first
Rabbit
segment, maybe the first two segments
and
are going to
how
be rough.
Roger Goodell, the NFL,
because
and anybody
we've
like
got to
that
talk
could
about
approve that. I
Bad
don't know.
Rabbit.
But there's this exam out there called
And how
Humanity's
Roger
Last
Goodell,
Exam.
the NFL,
And
and anybody like that
AI
can approve that. I don't
has
know.
been doing pretty
But
poor.
there's this exam out there
According to
called
Brother
Humanity's
Rick,
Last Exam.
he said it was getting 4 out of 100.
And AI
So I'm like, you know what? Let
has
me just
been
go
doing
ask
pretty
Grok
poor. According to
what's
Brother
going
Rick,
on.
you said it was getting 4
I have
out of
Grok
100.
4.
So I'm like, you know
But
what?
I
Let me
just have
just
the
go
base
ask
Grok. I
Grok
don't have like the
what's
what
going
they call
on.
the heavy,
And
with
I have
where you can
Grok
go out there
4,
and bring in multiple stuff.
but I just have the base
But
Grok. I don't
Grok
have like
4
the
that
what
I
they call
use
the
is
heavy
somewhere between
with where you
24.5
can go out
to
there and bring in
27%.
multiple stuff. But
With
Grok
tools like
4
search and
that I
code
use is
execution,
somewhere between
etc., the last exam
24.5
gets
to
to
27%.
38.6%. Grok Heavy
With
now,
tools like search
according to
and
this,
code execution,
is saying
etc.,
it's
the
hit
last
as
exam
high
gets
as
to
51%
38.6%.
with parallel
Grok
agent
Heavy
reasoning.
now, according to this,
And this is
saying
just from
hit
the
as high
beginning
as
of 2024 to
51%
mid
with
2025.
parallel agent reasoning.
So what is it really
And this
doing
is
right
just
now
from
in
the beginning
2026?
of 2024 to mid 2025.
And what's really
So
bothered me
what
about
is
this
it
whole
really
AI
doing
thing,
right
which you're
now
not
in
really paying attention to,
2026? And
is
what's
that
really bothered me about
AI
this
is
whole AI
starting
thing, which we're not really
to
paying
not only
attention to,
understand what you like. Again, I use myself as Arsenal as an example.
is that
But it's not giving
AI
me
is
human
starting
creators. It's now giving me
to
AI
not only
creators
understand what you like.
for Arsenal
Again, I use
content
myself as Arsenal as an
on
example.
YouTube, on
But it's
X,
not
and other
giving me human
places.
creators. It's now giving me AI
At some point,
creators
they're going to get
for
rid of the
Arsenal
humans
content
creating content, like
on
right here on
YouTube, on X,
WYAB,
and other places.
and you never know. It could be an
At some
agent.
point, they're going to get
We
rid
live
of the
in
humans
strange and
creating
mysterious
content,
times, dangerous
like right here
times,
on
ladies and gentlemen.
WYAB. And
Keep
you
your
never
head
know,
on a
it could
swivel.
be an
Be
agent.
on the lookout.
We live in strange and
Let your
mysterious
family
times, dangerous times.
know how much
ladies
you love
and
them.
gentlemen.
Because
Keep your
pretty
head on a
soon,
swivel.
we're not going to know
Be on
what's
the
real
lookout.
and what is synthetic. You are
Let
listening to the
your
Andrew
family
Gosser Show on
know how much you
103.9.
love
We'll be
them.
back in about 7
Because
minutes.
Pretty soon, we're not going to know what's real and what is synthetic. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show.
This is Central Mississippi's Stimulating Talk.
All right. We're in a break. Bad Rabbit's coming up, and it's going to be spicy, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be spicy.
walk up to her and you say, oh yeah, which is Arabic for let's twist again like we did last summer, baby. I walk up to her and you say, oh yeah, yeah.
And we're also on that 50,000 watt blowtorch that is WYAB. So if you can't pick up the signal, hit us up on the stream. We appreciate that. I've already posted a few links there on X. If I appreciate it if you gave me a follow. It's just at Andrew Gasser, ANDREW GASSER. And the phone number today, if you want to be on the air, is 601-879-0002. The text line is open at 601-879. And the mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show, it is standard. We are here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? Y'all are the saints. And, you know, we've got so much to talk about. And this segment is going to be really difficult because we've got to talk about Bad Rabbit. But again, like I started off last hour, I want to start off this hour because, again, this isn't me reading from any book. Happening on earth today as we speak, as this goes. There will come times of difficulty, for people will be lovers of oneself, lovers of money. It's all about making that dollar. We're proud, arrogant, dare I say boastful, abusive, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unholy, heartless, unappeasable, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not loving good, treacherous, reckless, swollen with conceit, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having the appearance of godliness but denying its power. Avoid such people. No, that's not 2 Timothy 3, 1 through 5. That is Bad Rabbit Super Bowl special, halftime special. All those things were about that. And all of a sudden, wouldn't you know it, Congress is going to have another investigation, everybody. We're going to investigate the NFL. We're going to investigate whatever station hosted the Super Bowl. I don't even know because I don't even care anymore. Ever since they wimped out the NFL, I haven't really watched the NFL since 2011. But whoever hosted the Super Bowl, I think it's NBC this year, right? NBC, someone tell me. We should investigate them for inappropriate lyrics over the public airwaves. And I'm sitting there thinking, what on God's green earth was this guy actually saying? Ladies and gentlemen, we as Gen X, we need to go ahead and talk about this. But we also have to understand that what we're about to talk about is going to be also having to pull the plank from our own eye. Well, people are already fired up. Let's see what we got here. Hey, go ahead. Oh, you're going to have to call right back. Infamous phone glitch.
No problem.
Yep. Someone's going to call back, but we've got to look at ourselves because we are the ones who allowed this to happen. We were the ones who created this. And Bad Rabbit, man, he is just a bad. I mean, honestly, it's lyrical pornography is what it is. And I'm going to attempt to read it here as soon as Brother Richard tries to call him back when he gets out of the boondoggles, wherever he's at. You've got people filing complaints with the FCC, and Congress wants to go ahead and look at it. From my source right here, fcc.gov/Super Bowl complaints 2020-25, it's got all of these complaints, and you can go and you can look at them all. You can go through and read them, and it's absolutely disgusting what some people are saying. The performers use obscene language in their songs at a family event. Well, is the Super Bowl a family event anymore? I mean, I can remember back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, do I really want my kids seeing a Viagra commercial or a GoDaddy commercial? Man, remember the GoDaddy commercials? They were spicy, huh? They were really predominant. Again, it's the slippery slope, right? Well, people want now to hold Bad Bunny, the NFL, NBC accountable for it. I think we should, but not necessarily through the government doing it, because the government is not going to do anything. The government is impotent. You've got Pam Bondi in front of Congress today making excuses. See that little NFL throw in right there, excuses for why the DOJ is not doing anything. They're not going to do anything. They're worthless. But it's going to be up to us. And the way to do that is simply vote with your dollars. Now, I'm not going to sit here and go through and tell you every advertiser during the NFL. That is some of your responsibility. And the phone line is open. If it's not ringing, let me know and send me another text, because apparently people are trying to call in. Maybe I'll reset the phone here real quick. But I'm not going to tell you where to, or to tell you the advertisers that sponsored this filth. But you can go ahead and go online, and I suggest you use an AI agent to figure out who did it. Don't go to Google. Google will sit there and make all the excuses in the world for it. But go in and look them up, and you will find out who some of them are. It's really interesting. I will name some of them, but not the big ones. But the Blue Square Alliance Against Hate. Yep, that's one. And people were asking who sponsored the halftime show itself. The halftime show itself was sponsored by Apple. All right, let's see if we can get this going here. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Good morning, Andrew. Alan Ramsey. How are you?
Brother Alan, I'm doing great, my friend. Doing great.
Good. I want to first concur with what you're talking about right now. All of this bad money BS, I call it, and investigations now into NFL. A lot of it, while the Bad Bunny thing is disgusting, the NFL's actions are disgusting. The marketplace will deal with that. That's not subject matter for a congressional investigation, in my humble opinion. And we've got much more important matters going on in our country and the world. And wasting time and energy talking about this is, to me, noise and distracting from the real issues that are out there. So, your frustration, my frustration, and that of many others, I think we can agree. This is let's move on.
Yeah.
If you're okay with that, I've got a different topic I'd like to bring up a moment.
Yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
Okay. I was listening to an earlier show before you came on, and, the WYAB uses a CBS news feed, and I was listening to the news, the notices that were being given, and one of them was about this shooting in Canada, which is a horrible thing. Multiple people dead, multiple people injured. But even CBS here, many hours later, is continuing to refer to this as a woman in a dress. This isn't a woman in a dress. This is a mentally ill trans person, a man believing they're a woman with a dress on, shooting up people. Well, this man was mentally ill to believe he's a woman to begin with. And it upsets me that WYAB is allowing that kind of a news feed to go through unchallenged, because people who hear it don't do their background. They're not going to hear that this is a mentally ill trans person. They can think there's a woman up in a dress up in Canada, and it's not. So I wanted to clarify that to anyone who's been listening and has not heard the other side of that story. Here we have another mass shooting by a trans person. Almost all of the mass school shootings, by the way, have been trans people who, by definition, to me, are mentally ill.
Alan,
so,
you just stole the whole second segment of the second hour. But since you've brought this up, let's go to cut 1. 3, 2, 1, go.
That includes the deceased gun person.
Okay. And then separately, do you know the gun person's relationship to the...
Do you hear what Canada is saying? Could you hear that? A deceased...
No, I was unable to.
A deceased gun person. The whole media regime is corrupted, whether it be CBS News, whether it be Canadian news, whether it be any mainstream news. It's all corrupted or corrupted. Yes. And we hear it all the time. The thing is where does WYAB go? On the air, when I'm on the radio, I always talk about, hey, let's talk about how the media is corrupt and what can we do to change it personally. Because we
absolutely,
if we just get righteous anger, which we can't have righteous anger, and we might be rapidly getting to that point. We have to call them out. And just like we call out CNN and MSN now /BS always, I know that the audiences here, or the radio hosts here, we're really predominantly talking out about that. We laugh all the time. CBS News, sponsored by Pfizer. I mean, give me a break. And it's just, we have to not only wake up our generation, Brother Alan, but we got to get these young kids pulling their heads out of TikTok and their behinds and realizing that everything that's being pumped in front of their face via their idiot device, their anxiety device, is a problem. And I'll let you go ahead and answer that, respond to that.
Well, your comment a minute ago is, what can each of us do? Well, I consider myself doing what each of us should do. When we hear something like that, whatever source it's coming through, and in this case, it came via WYAB, we need to immediately push back, which is what I'm doing. I'm saying, hey, you guys aired something that is misleading and is already established to be misleading, and we need to do it because someone who only got the benefit of listening to that one moment of news on your station today is now walking around out there thinking some woman in a dress killed 9 people up in Canada. It wasn't. It was a mentally ill retard trans male who is, I can't even fathom how his mind works, but this is a problem. I've called it out. And I hope that WYAB, as well as other people who rebroadcast news from sources like CBS, will review what they're broadcasting and immediately, kind of like community notes on X, put it in context, call it out. I don't want any WYAB listener walking around thinking a lady in a dress is shooting people in Canada, because it's not true.
I agree with you, Brother Allen, and I appreciate the call.
Okay, man. Y'all have a great day. I'll be listening.
Yep. And that's one of the comments that I often get sometimes. Andy, you just go off on your own tangent. You don't let the caller speak their mind. You censor them. You cut them off. Notice I didn't cut Brother Allen off at all. That guy yesterday who just tried to keep shouting and getting more silly and more spicy by the minute. Yeah, we got to turn him down a little bit. Let him re-examine his thoughts. Reconsider his actions. But Brother Allen's right. I don't. That's above my pay grade about what news we use at the top of the hour. But people know that CBS News, especially the radio side of it, is really liberal. And let's be completely clear here. To quote, well, I'm not going to say that, but the person who committed the shooting in Canada was a man who was mentally deranged, who thought he was a woman, and he wore a dress. I don't know if he wore a dress in the act of the crime, but it's been reported that he wears dresses. And that's not normal. That's not healthy. You also know who else wears dresses? Bad Rabbit. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9. And when we get back, we are going to make an attempt to read some Bad Rabbit lyrics. This is the Andrew Gosser Show. Oh, yeah, we don't fear the Reaper, but should we fear the FCC? Should we fear the DOJ? Look, I made a promise that I was going to attempt to read the lyrics to Bad Rabbit, and we are. But we're not gonna read them in Spanish because no one knows what the hell they're actually saying in Spanish. I realize the majority of Americans do not speak Spanish. There is a segment of the population that does speak Spanish, and they do know those things, and there's a lot of, response on Hispanic TikTok about how offended they are with this. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have kids in the car, turn off the radio. Wait till 35 after the hour and then come back to WYAB. I am giving you ample warning. This is gonna be some really adult flavored content here. And the thing is WYAB, we shouldn't be punished for this because if NBC can do it with the Super Bowl on television, the same rules that govern them govern us. Don't worry, Matt. I got you covered. Matt's the station general manager. I would never do anything that. But we're gonna let the spice flow through without actually saying the words. So we are gonna give a countdown from 10 to 0. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Cleared main engine start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. You have been warned. Turn it off if you've got kids in the car or you're going to be easily offended. And here we go. This is just one verse from one song. The song is called Safaria. And I'm not going to sing the chorus. I'm just going to sing. I'm going to try to get through verse 1. Let's see if I can get past 10 lines. I doubt it, but here we go. That's disrespectful, baby. How dare you come over without panties? How dare you, mammy, come over without panties? Tonight you came dressed up for me. I thought you were coming over just to sleep. So that in today's world, you might see some of that suggested on TV or the radio, whatever. But now, here we go. But you're giving it away for free. You want me to F you with no rubber. You want me to give it to you strong. You want me to pull your hair. You want me to spank you. You want me to, that's enough. That's what Roger Goodell, the NFL, and everybody at NBC think is good quality family entertainment. That's the kind of smut that they're pushing, not down just your throats, but they're pushing to your kids through their anxiety devices. People get all fired up at me saying, oh, Andy, you're reading pornography on the air. No, I just read the lyrics. I censored it. It gets 1,000 times worse than that. And, you know, they talk about Republicans and conservatives not respecting women. I guess it's okay to pull hair, spank, choke, spit, and do everything else that they want to do. That's not Andrew Gosser saying it. That's not WYAB saying it. That's Bad Rabbit, NBC, and the NFL. And then people get ticked off at Clay Edwards and Andrew Gosser and Kim Wade for talking about how our culture is so corrupt. Where did that infiltrate from? This is the stuff that your daughters and your sons are having to combat because they're getting you are being completely circumvented. You are being overruled, ran around by the phones in their hands and the apps on their devices. And you wonder why AI is thinking humanity's nuts. Who thinks it's okay to choke somebody? You spit on a cop, you get shot. Oh, here we go. Let's see what happens. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Yeah, in reference to the Bad Bunny lyrics, here's what I would say. We live in a country where we really want to censor, or do we want to censor speech or not? Because I remember when I was grown, but when you had the Uncle Luke controversy, 2 Live Crew. And
yeah.
Went to court. Yeah, they went to court. And guess what? They said, well, you got to put parental advisory on, on the record labels and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, they had the right to express themselves artistically.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing, if you don't want your kids exposed to it, and unfortunately we live in this now digital world, that's going to be a thing that the parents got to deal with. But as far as a private entity saying this is the largest global star in the world, and this is what we're going to put on during the halftime show of the Super Bowl, at the end of the day, it's up to parents to censor what their kids are watching and what their kids are listening to, because it's out there. You can find it. And I'll give you a prime example.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, now again, I was grown when all of this happened because I'm a little bit older.
Okay.
So I could listen to anything I wanted to, but what I realized was the radio station started to play it. They started to put little beeps, because I worked at a radio station at the time, and they would beep certain things, but I noticed how liberal and how people's mores were changing about what was going to be acceptable. And I think where we are now is there's no dialing it back, because it's all over our society. Our norms have changed. Our mores have changed, even for politicians. I'm listening to Hakeem Jeffries, F the president. I'm listening to the president, F somebody else, and calling women piggies. We are at a crossroads in our society when we talk about how we interact and how we deal with one another. So I think we got bigger problems in just our discourse. Even our political discourse has become kind of pornographic.
Hey, let me ask you a couple questions. Yep, let me ask you a couple questions here. You say that Bad Bunny's the biggest star in the world right now. My source is WDW Pro, where he's ranked all the different stars in the world right now, and he's got Bad Bunny at 85th. So I would contest if he's the most popular. I do agree with you in Uncle Luke and the 2 Live Crew thing. Freedom of speech shouldn't be violated upon, but there are rules if you're going to go ahead and broadcast over the national airwaves. We've passed laws in place that say you can't talk about these words, you can't say these things, you can't do these things. And it appears as though the NFL has violated that. So, and NBC. So I would say it's a little bit different than Uncle Luke trying to shut down his concert compared to broadcasting something over the public airwaves, which the taxpayers paid for. Do you think that that's a good analogy or not? I'm just curious.
Well, is the NFL, the broadcasting networks, again, these are what I would say, they have licenses.
They're public licenses.
They get public license. So it's up to the FCC if they want to come down and say, well, hey, I think you violated this. You violated FCC rules, and fine them, fine. But at the end of the day, I think we don't want to censor people. Whether you agree with an artist or you don't like their lyrics, I think they should have the right to express themselves, because the minute we start to limit this stuff or tell people what they can and can't say as an artist and a medium, then I think we're all in trouble at that point. So my thing is, whether you like him or not, Nicki Minaj, she was at turning point.
Yep.
I mean, they hanging out with Nicki Minaj. And if you listen to some of her lyrics coming out of her mouth, I'm sure that wasn't something Charlie Kirk would agree with.
Kid Rock too. Kid Rock too, right? You go back to Kid Rock.
Kid Rock. Yeah, Kid Rock, the same thing. So here's what I'm going to tell you.
Yep.
The people that control this, we really control this with our dollars, because they're selling us advertising. That's all the NFL is doing, is selling advertising spots, and the broadcasting networks advertising spots. During that, if we don't buy or we don't listen or we turn it off and say we don't want to hear this filth, you got to do it with your dollars. But at the end of the day, is America willing to stand up and say we're going to do it with our dollars, and we're going to take back our culture? We're going to change our discourse. We're going to tell our congressmen, we don't want to hear you using profanity. We don't want to hear the presidents using profanity. That's not a good image for our kids. But until we stand up and say we're tired of it, and we're going to do it with our vote, and and we're going to do it with our dollars, then you might start seeing advertisers talk to broadcasters and say, hey, we might have to look at our programming because guess what? We're not getting as many advertising dollars. We're losing market share and everything else because of the filth that we're broadcasting. But unfortunately, we've become numb to it. A lot of the majority of people are numb to this type of discourse, and nobody's really outraged. We're politically outraged, but we realize
last question,
this is where we are in the world today.
I let you go there, but I got one more question for you. Where did our morals drop off? What was the key point for morality in America? Because we both agree that our morals are in the tank now. But what do you think?
Tell you this.
Yep.
I think it starts with money.
Mm.
See, if whatever art form generates money, and you can make money from it, guess what? The folks at the top, if they can make money, they will push the envelope. They will pay our politicians, because if we told our politicians we don't want this stuff, they would change the rules in a heartbeat. So we vote these people in. These people set the rules, and they have constantly.
Let me tell you the answer, and I don't want to be rude with you, but I got to get this break in. But if you want to hang on during the break, that's fine. But I would argue that the reason that we're in this situation today isn't because of money. It isn't because of music or the performing arts. It's because we've kicked Jesus out of the public square through the First Amendment of separation of church and state, when that was never what was supposed to be. When all of our founding fathers, 54 out of 56 of them, proclaimed Jesus. And we're at a point now to where we're at this crossroads where good men like you and I, we sit there and look, we know it's bad, we know it's evil, but what can we do about it? You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9. We'll be right back. My man, are you still there? Oh, that stinks. And we are back here at the Andrew Gosser Show. I really wish he could have stayed on during the break, but he couldn't. But I would just say you're always welcome to call back. Think that we probably don't agree on a lot, but what we agree on, we can talk about. And what we disagree on, we can talk about that too. And it's just important that we realize why we're in the situation that we're in. And he said something that was really interesting to me. He's talking about the money, and it's all about the money. Where have we heard that before? And everybody's gonna be, hey, Andy's getting all biblical again. Well, it's been around longer than me, and it's been around longer than you, and it's been longer around than AI, and it's been longer around than the United States. Just about everywhere. We know it has been. And it's funny because YouTube just demonetized the stream for today, which is fine because YouTube, sometimes you need to hear the truth too, YouTube. For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. It is through the craving. Isn't that what we were craving in the Super Bowl? Isn't that what the godless left? They're craving the sexual content, the two men grinding on each other, the dresses where basically women wore skin-colored clothing, made them look like they were partially naked. Isn't that what humanity is craving? It is. We're weak flesh. That some have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves with many pangs. And that's what's happening now. We realize what Bad Rabbit did was wrong. We realize what happened at the Super Bowl was wrong, but we don't want to call it out. We got to keep it to ourselves. We can't publicly come and talk about it. First Amendment rights, First Amendment freedoms. Our First Amendment is only as strong as our faith. And you know what? You have the right to go out and say whatever it is you want to say out in the streets and in public discourse, but ultimately, we're all going to be held to account for it. And it just fires me up. All right, let's see. We got another phone call here. And just like that, they're gone. I can't say, I know I hit the right button, but whatever it is. So with that being said, I got this text because before we started talking about Bad Rabbit, and then Brother Alan kind of diverted us, which is good, Brother Alan. I appreciate that. Sister Lisa called in and talked about wanting to know how to contact her legislators about certain bills. She talked about, if you missed the ECM issue where we were talking about how to contact your legislators, look up bills in Mississippi. Maybe we'll do that another time. We'll even go more in depth to it. But if you want to call the Mississippi legislature, they've got a Capitol switchboard, which is what Lisa was asking about. And that number is simply 601-359-3770. And you're going to have to use that ECM map to pull up the bill that you want to talk to, and the certain state rep or state senator. But that's the number. And I just found that on Google. Let's see if this person 543. Yep. Hey, are you there?
What's up, my brother?
Hey, my man, Richard. How you doing?
I'm just Jim Dandy. I was listening to your previous caller and just having some reflections on that. But before I do that, it's funny how you will let a word slip on air, or you say something that you're going to get in trouble with the FCC about, and you may pay a fine, you may be reprimanded, but the word has now been said. You can't take it back. They heard it. It's out there. The damage is done. And they're willing to pay that price to put that out there. They're willing to do that.
Did you see Goodell's face when the halftime show was going on?
Dude, he's got a poker face. It's hard to tell what he's thinking, He's got that, that poker face because he has to be so non-reactive to so many things. I can tell you, I would like to see what Pete Rozell's face would have looked like.
Oh my goodness, that was a real commissioner.
That was the man right there. That was the deal right there.
Yeah, it was.
Absolutely. But going back to you guys talking about when it changed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when we turned. Okay, there was a time that I grew up through where they said schools separate but equal were not fair. Well, why were they not fair? Well, this school had more money and this school had more money. But you know what? They worked. They worked. I've seen kids that got bused to an area that they didn't want to be there, and the kids that they had them move in with, they didn't want them there either. And that caused this separation of the day that we all read scripture over the PA before we started class each day.
Wow.
We were so worried about which school district got this much money and this had this building and that, but it worked. And there were solid communities around those schools. When we stopped reading scripture, for example, you need to do your homework. Why? Well, it's the right thing. Says who? Well, you can't tell them anymore. Okay. You need to study for your test. Why? Because you need to prepare. It's the right thing to do. Says who? Well, the Bible says so. The fruits of the Spirit, the 10 Commandments. We can't teach those.
Yeah.
If you could teach those in cohesiveness with subject matter, it all comes together.
It surely does.
That's why academies flourish. That's why parochial schools flourish, is because you can teach that in hand with academics. And when you can't do that, there's really no barometer as, well, why should we do that? Well, if you don't, because they're going to punish you. Okay, well, then after a while, you've got to reach the heart of someone to do, because they have a faith and a belief in Jesus Christ that says, you know, I know this is wrong. I know I should do the right thing, because there's no way to teach that in a setting where the public school screams bloody murder if you quote scripture.
And at the same time, they'll go absolutely insane if you take away the kid's cell phone. Go ahead.
You're not telling me anything, brother. I've been told to stand down taking cell phones because, like I've told you before, Cindy's got to text mama to make sure her curls are still holding up 4 o'clock while somebody else is texting somebody and allowing them access to campus, which is a security problem. But no, there are states, and I've mentioned this to you before, Arkansas has a law, bell to bell, students are not allowed to have phones on campus. Well, what's wrong with that? Well, because I got to be able to reach my daughter. Front office phone works, never drops a call. All you got to do is call the front office.
Hey, Richard.
That's inconvenient.
Richard, you know what? We can't pass a cell phone law in Mississippi, but we'll definitely be selling liquor on Sundays between 1 and 5 o'clock now.
Yeah, you tell it, brother. Preach it.
You know, we'll sit there and turn down. We'll turn down banning Sharia law from Mississippi, but we can't even reaffirm our right to prayer in school. And it's just infuriating to me, because everybody's sitting there screaming, why is this country descending into the pits of hell? Why is everything going so wrong? Well, we're trying to do it our way. And the United States is famous for trying everything else before going back to what works, you know?
That's right. I told you before, we don't have godly men representing us in government anymore. We don't.
But they'll be in church pew on Sunday.
Oh, yeah, they'll be there. They'll be there. But I'm going to tell you what. Don't ask them any questions while they're in church. They're here to worship. And I'm going to tell you what. You watch your hair curl and run the wrong way if you do bring something up. You know, they're supposed to be held accountable. You hear people scream about, well, the separation of church and state. No, the church is supposed to influence the government.
Yes. Yep.
That's the way it was designed. That's why people left England, because the church and the government were working hand in hand to control the people. And that's not the way it should work.
Richard, quit quoting history like that. Where did you learn that?
Oh, well, back in public school days when they actually taught civics, Mississippi history. Let me tell you what, some of those French names and those people these counties in Mississippi are named after, man, you're talking about a headache. Mississippi history was probably one of the toughest courses I ever took.
My goodness. Well, brother, I appreciate the phone call. We're up against the break, but I really appreciate you checking in.
Brother. Yes, sir. God bless you.
God bless you too. Take care. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9. We're going to take our last commercial break. We'll be right back. Oh, yeah, we're back. We're coming in hot. Look, there's so much. I didn't even get to talk about the SAVE Act. They're going nuts. Pam Bondi's having a meltdown in Capitol Hill. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. But what I really want to talk to right now are the pastors, the rabbis, the bishops, the reverends, the elders, the deacons. It's up to you. You are put in a special position of power, authority, and leadership. And if you're not talking about the depravity of Bad Rabbit this Sunday, if you're not coming out and speaking out against this, then I wonder what you are going to speak out against. You are watching the cultural rot and decay right before our very eyes. And the church is silent. We've been duped. We've been hoodwinked into believing that we're not supposed to be in the public square, yet it says we're supposed to be at the city gates. Come on now, we're better than that. We're so much better than that. So it's just my hope and prayer that there's a lot of sermons out there that are telling people, even if you agree with freedom of speech, there's responsibility to free speech. And this whole country, this whole nation has no responsibility right now. They're always pushing the blame to somebody else. Well, I said it over here. And oh, well, this person said it over there. It's their fault. No, it's your fault. It's the parents' fault. It's my fault. I should have spoken out stronger against this. Freedom of speech does not mean freedom of consequence. Yep. Well, this is going to be the oddest segue ever. Today is an awesome day. Today is the February 11th. And I just want to take a moment to say, son, I love you. I don't always get to see you like I want to, but I love you dearly. And happy birthday, fam. I am so proud of you. You are rolling through college, getting 5 years done in 3.5. I love where you're going. I love what you're doing, Noah. You're a good young man, and you're chasing Jesus, which I genuinely and truly appreciate. I hope today is special. I know it's cold as heck up there in Milwaukee right now, but I love you, son. I know you're doing great things, and I'll get to be able to see you here soon. I'll be up that way soon. Ladies and gentlemen, love your kids. Let them know how much you love them. Be that parent that Ephesians talks about. Until then, take care, everybody. Be blessed.